So hello everyone, on behalf of Giants Group of Moscow, this is the first seminar for the special Giants week that we host from 17th to 23rd September. We'll be doing a seminar almost every day, so please stay tuned with us. Today is the first day where we start with Dr. Zainab Tajir, giving us some very valuable information about our hormonal imbalances in PCOS and thyroid. To begin with, I would like to welcome our president, Mrs. Farida Barwaniwala, who will say a few words for us. Over to Mrs. Farida Barwaniwala. Please unmute yourself.
Hello everyone. I'm Farida Barwaniwala, president of Giants Group of Moscow. I would like to thank Dr. Zainab Tajir for removing a valuable time. I would also, Mazhabin has attended. I would like to thank Rashida Mamoon, a Unit 2 director, for organizing such a wonderful and knowledgeable webinar for us. I would also like to thank all the members who are present here. I hope so you all people find this webinar very useful.
Thank you, Farida. So our host today is Dr. Zainab Tajir. She is a homeopathic consultant, psychological counselor, and a bath flower therapist, practicing in Pune since the past 5 years with patients not only in Pune but all over the globe. She specializes in healing various physical and emotional ailments through homeopathy, lifestyle changes, and counseling. She also widely educates people about various health issues through her Instagram and YouTube channels. You should follow her. It's Raj Clinic on Instagram and YouTube. A believer of natural healing, she aims to spread knowledge about various natural ways of managing health and create awareness about the magic of homeopathy. Thank you, Zainab, for joining us today. And I'm sure this is going to be wonderful. Over to you.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. That was truly humbling. So I hope I am audible to everyone. We will not be able to unmute anyone in this session. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the chat box. And I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can everyone see it clearly?
Yes.
Perfect. So I don't want to be the one only speaking in this session. So I would really appreciate if the audience also participates in all the discussions that we are having here. So please be a very sporty audience here to keep my spirits up as well throughout the session. Okay, so our topic today is managing hormonal imbalance in PCOS and thyroid. And if you actually look at the statistics, almost 80% of the women suffer from this issue today. And do you even know the irony is most of the women don't even know that they have these issues. So I am sure that majority of our audience here has come here because at least some of them have experienced some form of hormonal issues in their life. So let's just do a quick chat here. How many of you actually suffer from either PCOS or thyroid or both of them? Just let me know in the chat below. Just write a P if it's PCOS, write a T if it's thyroid, and you can write TT if you have both. Okay, I see a lot of them, PCOD, thyroid, Alpha says PCOD, Maria says PCOD. Okay, so I see a lot of you have these issues. Great. So I'm really hoping that this one's going to be quite a valuable session for you. So before I start telling you about anything about managing this hormonal imbalance, let me ask you a quick question. How many of you actually know what a hormone is? I mean, we tell you, right, that I have hormonal imbalance, but then what a hormone is? How many of you actually know about it? Tell me a Y if you know it and N if you don't. Okay, so I am assuming that most of you would know. Obviously, there's going to be someone who's going to be widely educated about their body, which is a very good thing. Okay, so before I start telling you about anything, I want to give you a quick introduction about hormones. Okay, I am unable to change. Just give me a second. Oh, yeah. So hormones are basically the chemical messengers in our body which send messages through our blood. So, you know, some of the vital organs in our body actually they release hormones. And what the hormones is supposed to do is it's supposed to take certain messages that that organ is sending and then give it to another gland. So I know this sounds very complicated to you. Let me just simplify it to you as much as we can. So here you can see the thyroid gland. So this is our thyroid gland. If most of you wouldn't know, our thyroid is responsible for our metabolism. So what is metabolism? The food that you eat is converted into energy, and then this energy is taken up by different parts of your body in order to do their daily functioning. So this thyroid releases our hormones T3 and T4, which are responsible for metabolism. So these hormones will go to your gut, they'll take all the energy, and then they'll tell the different parts of your body what are you supposed to do with that energy. Now, let's just say this poor gland, he's not functioning very well. So he's releasing lesser thyroid hormones, okay? So obviously there are less messengers which are released into the blood, which are going and telling your organs what to do. So less messengers means less energy uptake. So the poor organs, they are not getting the energy that they need. So what would ideally happen? Of course, your metabolism will slow down. Your organs will not function to the optimum. So, you know, what symptoms will it present then? So let's say your gut is not functioning very well. So, you know, your food is not digested well. You will get constipation. You know, your hair is not getting the necessary nutrients. So what would happen? You know, your hair fall will increase. You know, your hair will become dry. You will feel very lethargic. You will not feel like doing anything. So, you know, these are the symptoms that somebody with hypothyroidism presents because there are lesser hormones in their body. So the basic symptoms of hypothyroidism are that your metabolism slows down, because of which also you start gaining weight a lot. Your skin is dry, your hair is dry, you are tired, you are constipated, your heart starts functioning slowly, so you have a slow heartbeat. Now, at the same time, let's assume there are so many of these messengers running in your bloodstream, you know, and they're going and telling your organs, take more energy, take more energy, take more energy. What will happen then? So the organs have so much of energy, they are beaming with energy, and all of them are functioning really, really fast. So your metabolism increases a lot. So again, you know, heart functioning very fast, you will have increased heartbeat. Your gut functioning very fast, you will have frequent motions. So this is something that happens in hyperthyroidism because all your organs are functioning very, very fast. So your metabolism becomes fast. You start losing weight because, you know, your gut is functioning so fast, it's unable to retain anything inside it. You cannot tolerate heat. You have rapid heartbeat. So a little bit of hormonal imbalance can result into so many widespread symptoms throughout your body. So now that we've spoken about thyroid, let's quickly come to what this presents in PCOS. So one quick question. I know the question that I've been asked the most is what's the difference between PCOD and PCOS? So how many really knew that? How many of you really know about that? Do you know the difference between the two? Or do you know if your condition is a PCOD or a PCOS? Come on, let's talk in the chat. Let me know. You say no. Rashida Mehmoon says no. Okay. Anyone else? Come on, guys. Yes. Okay. Okay. So if you know, kudos to you. Okay. So let me just quickly get into PCOD. Okay. So this is our ovary. And the primary function of our ovary is basically to produce eggs. So every menstrual cycle, the egg, there are so many follicles over there. So they are all fighting to, you know, form an egg. And every cycle, there's going to be one follicle which is going to mature and it will result in a full egg. Now, this egg usually ruptures around the 14th day of a menstrual cycle and it comes out. So while this process is going on inside the ovary is supposed to release certain hormones, that is the estrogen and the progesterone. What happens in PCOD and PCOS is this poor ovary is not functioning very well. So, you know, the egg that is supposed to mature by the 14th day and then come out into the follicle, into the fallopian tube, that's not happening. So what really happens then is that the level of estrogen and progesterone that needs to be released gets disturbed. And how that presents. So just because estrogen and progesterone is disturbed, you will have a wide spectrum of problems. So PCOD doesn't look same for everyone. So for some, it's extremely frequent periods. So, you know, they have spotting even throughout the month. For some, they might skip their periods for months. So when this condition is only limited to the ovaries, we call it the PCOD, that is the polycystic ovarian disease. But let's just say now these hormonal imbalances become so intense that your ovaries are not able to, take care of it. So then it starts increasing and it starts affecting the other organs in your body. So it will go and affect your adrenals. Your adrenals are responsible for your male hormones. That's your testosterone. So now slowly your testosterone levels in females begin to rise, which ideally should not be very high. So you have symptoms like, you will get facial hair, you will start experiencing some form of male pattern baldness, you will have hair fall. Not only then, it will start affecting your pancreas, so it will affect your insulin. So our insulin is a hormone that's responsible for uptake of energy by every cell. So when this happens, our body becomes insulin resistant. So although there's insulin in the body, but the cells are not reacting to it and not taking up the energy that the insulin is asking them to do. So more and more insulin resistance develops. There is more insulin produced by the pancreas because they're feeling, oh, the poor glands are not functioning. And eventually it also predisposes you to type 2 diabetes. So when more than the ovaries are involved, we call it the polycystic ovarian syndrome. I hope you guys have been clear until now. So before I go ahead, I just want to know if you guys have understood what I've spoken up to now. Just tell me a yes if you have. Come on. Okay, I see a vibe. Perfect. I'm so happy. Great. I have a very interactive audience here. Okay, so there's something that I always believe in, that if you want to cure any problem, or in fact, for that matter, if you want to manage any issue, it's very, very important for you to understand the cause of it. So, you cannot just haphazardly go ahead doing something or taking medications without knowing what's causing this issue. So before I tell you anything about managing any of the issues, I want to talk about a few causes that can cause hormonal imbalances in women. So these are the primary ones. The first thing is stress. So we live in a constant stressful environment today. A small thing to a large event, everything can make us stressed, which releases certain stress hormones in our body like cortisol, adrenaline, and these are not very healthy for our body. It makes us live in that fight to flight mode all the time. It does not help you to keep happy, and this stress is something that causes hormonal imbalance. The second thing is our gut health. So, whenever you have any issues relating to your digestion, your gut, so you have acidity, you have gases, you have bloating, you have anything. So your gut, what it does is, whenever the levels of hormones in your body increase, it kind of throws them out because it realizes it's not needed anymore. So if your gut's not functioning properly, those excess hormones aren't thrown out of your body and they kind of stay there, which again causes imbalance. Third is toxins. We have been surrounded by so many chemicals today, it's unimaginable. The food that you eat has pesticides. The plastics that you use has so many chemicals. In fact, the products that you use, makeup products, skincare products, everything has parabens, and all this also has some form of effect on your hormonal imbalance. The fourth one is nutrition. I don't really remember my grandmother ever complaining that she had hormonal imbalance. And then why do you think so? One thing that comes to me is because they ate well, they ate healthy. Today, we are surrounded by so many unhealthy and tasty options. You have burgers, you have pizza, you have nicely packaged cereals and lays. And all this, as tempting as it might be, it's not very good for our body. It's not very good for our health. So nutrition plays a very, very important role. The next thing is exercise. So frankly, today we live in a world where we are so busy that we don't have time for ourselves. So it's very, very difficult for us to find time to do any form of physical activity. So exercise is one thing that also impacts our hormonal imbalance. And lastly, our sleep. So I think that all the above factors that are discussed do impact our sleep. So if you are stressed, you can't sleep well, one of the primary distractions is this in my hand. You can't sleep well because you are always watching something on Netflix, or you are addicted to your phones. So not having a good night's sleep, that's the time our body gets to rest. It gets to repair something that's not functioning very well. And if you are not sleeping, obviously your body is not getting that time to repair itself. So again, that results into hormonal imbalances. I hope I am very clear until now. So we are quickly going to get into what is it that we can do to manage it. Are you guys ready? Come on, tell me an hour. Somebody's asking me questions. Well, we will definitely address all the questions at the end of the session. Ready? Oh, I see all of y'all are very ready. Great, great. Okay, I'm excited. All right. So let's talk about what can we do to manage these hormonal imbalances. And there are 5 specific things that I'm going to cover in this session today. The first is obviously, like I said, stress plays a very, very important role. So we'll talk about stress management. We'll talk about what changes in terms of your nutrition you will have to do in order to have a good hormonal balance, physical activity, lifestyle changes, and lastly, we'll come to medications. So, okay, let's just start with it. The first thing is stress management. When it comes to stress management, I think all of us have some form of stress that we go through daily. Some of it that you can control, some of it that you can't control. A clear example of it was COVID. It clearly affected all of us. The situation was out of control, but then we've been so stressed throughout. So, although it's very easy to say, bhai, tension mat lo, but tension na lo isn't a solution to a problem. Although you get stressed, you need to know certain techniques that will help you effectively manage that stress. So that's what we are going to discuss now. These are the 4 things that I personally love and use. The first thing when it comes to solving any issue is understanding your triggers. So when I say understanding your triggers, you have to know कि भाई कौन सी चीज से मुझे stress होता है. So, if the house is dirty, I get stressed. So, if I listen to some news, I get stressed. If I watch TV, I get stressed. So it's very important for you to understand what triggers your stress so that you can actively work on avoiding it. The ways you can do it is my 4A method. So that's avoid, alter, adapt, and accept. I'll go into details of each. So the first one is avoid. What I mean by this is that when we know that हर चीज में stress लेना जरूरी नहीं है, there are certain things that you have to let go. So अगर कोई ऐसी चीज है जो avoid करने से your stress levels reduce, why not do it? If TV देखने से your stress increases, please avoid watching TV. If Googling your symptoms increase your stress, please don't Google. So you have to understand that what are the things you can eliminate that can help you to avoid that stress. Now, obviously, हर kind of stress हम avoid नहीं कर सकते हैं. So at that time, what you can do is you have to alter it. What do I mean by altering it? It is like our human brain, it's hardwired to negative emotion. जब भी कुछ होता है, the first thing that you think is negative. अरे अब क्या होगा? I don't see a person who ever is very positive about everything that's going to happen. So altering your perspective towards things makes a lot of difference. Also, another thing that always works is that we always expect people to change, environment to change, but the last we want to do is to change ourselves. We think, ye aisa hai, isliye mera problem ho raha hai. Just because the situation is like that, that is why I'm in a problem. But we never look at ourselves. So the one thing that you always have to remember is that you will not be able to change any situation or anyone around you. You will only be able to change yourself. So please, you have to learn to adapt the situation and adapt your own self to it. Also, practicing gratitude is something that really works. So like I said, we tend to look at the negatives more than the positives. So how will you actually, focus more on the positives? That's by practicing gratitude. So whenever, every single day, when you write down things that you are grateful for, it actually changes your focus from what negative is going on to you become more appreciative of the little things that are actually good in your life. And lastly, जब हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते हैं, so the best thing you can do is accept the situation, like the COVID situation. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So it's always very healthy for us that we accept the situation and we move on. Now, the third thing is deep breathing. Excuse me. So, most of the patients who come to me, I ask them to include this in their daily routine. So when you deep breathe, it's known to calm your sympathetic system down. So including at least 10 minutes of deep breathing in the morning and at night into your routine will definitely make a world of a difference when it comes to how you look at your stress. So this is something that I would highly recommend everyone to do. And the last thing is movement. Movement, matlab obviously doing some form of physical activity, which brings me to the next slide, which is physical activity. So now, research has shown that when we exercise, our body releases a lot of happy hormones. So which kind of, reduces the adrenaline and the cortisol in our body. And these are mood elevators. So I understand that most of you might say that hum bahut busy hai. We have kids, we have family, we have work, we have things to look after. It's very difficult for us to find time. The best physical activity is obviously brisk walking. 30 minutes of brisk walking does a wonderful job. But if you don't find time for that, I have listed certain exercise channels and apps here, which are free on YouTube, or you will find them on the Play Store or Apple Store. These give you 15 minutes to 30 minutes of free exercises that you can do at the comfort of your house, at the comfort of your time. So this is something that gives you that liberty to exercise without complaining that you don't have time. So these are some channels, you can definitely note them down. Fitness Blender, Nike Training Club ad, Workout by Chloe Ting, and Sweat Up by Kyla Itzinis. So the next thing is nutrition. Like I said, पहले के लोग बहुत अच्छा खाना खाते थे. Probably that's the reason they never complained of period issues. They never complained of thyroid problems. They never complained of weight gain because they ate healthy food. The food that we eat today is very processed, it's unhygienic, and it's not the absolute healthy thing to do. So what is it that we can do to make it better? Now, the first and the most important thing is you have to increase your protein intake. So what do I mean by that? Proteins are like the building blocks of our body. So it's very, very important for you to get protein adequately. So if you actually look at the stats, at the data, your body requires 0.9 grams per kilogram of protein daily for its functioning. So what I mean here is, let's say 1 gram. So you might require, if you are 50 kilos, you need 50 grams of proteins daily, every single day, in order to make sure that your body is functioning well, your hormones are optimal. So certain protein sources, obviously there are a lot of non-vegetarian ones. So you have mutton, you have chicken, you have eggs. Even in case of vegetarian ones, milk is a good source of protein, oats, almonds, paneer, lentils, all of these are amazing sources of proteins, and these have to be the first thing that you include into your diet. Also, micronutrients play like a very, very important role when it comes to hormonal balance. So few micronutrients are magnesium and zinc. There are a lot of foods that contain those as well. I don't really recommend taking supplements if you can get natural food sources of all these things, because our body obviously absorbs them much, much better. So magnesium is basically found in spinach, you find them in avocados, you have them in legumes, you get them from dark chocolate. So these are some very common sources. Also seeds, pumpkin seeds are a good source of magnesium. So this brings me to the next thing, that is seed cycling. Micronutrients are something that are very important. So magnesium and zinc is very important for PCOS. Selenium is very important for thyroid. Iodine is very important for thyroid. And seeds contain a balance of all these amazing micronutrients. So how do you really include these seeds into your diet? So when it comes to seed cycling, if you actually look at the data, there has been no scientific evidence supporting it. But personally, I have found that it really works very well when it comes to hormonal imbalance. It's basically a naturopathic way. And seeds are anyways powerhouse of nutrients. So it's something you cannot just miss out in your diet. So how do you practice seed cycling? From the first day of your periods, that is the day 1, to your 14th day. Pehla din is the day that your period begins. So from the 1st to the 14th day, you take 1 tablespoon of flax seeds and 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds every single day for the first 14 days of your cycle. from the 15th day until the day you again get your period, you then take sunflower seeds and sesame seeds. So flax and pumpkin seeds help with your estrogen balance, and sunflower and sesame help with your progesterone balance. So eventually, when you do this at least for 3 months, you will definitely see a lot of difference in your hormonal balance and also your overall health. And the last thing, this thing specifically works for PCOS, is including fenugreek, fennel, and flax seeds. So in fact, there's been so much of research. Flax seeds is like this one thing that you absolutely cannot miss out from your diet. So including 30 grams of flax seeds daily, according to research, even showed that it reduced the amount of cyst in somebody's ovaries. It helped with thyroid balance. So soaking fenugreek seeds at night and having that water in the morning really works. Including fennel tea into your diet works a charm. And obviously, taking 2 tablespoons of flax seeds is something that will be very, very helpful for you when it comes to balancing your hormones. I hope I'm very clear here. If you have any questions, we will definitely address them at the end. That brings me to the next thing, that is lifestyle changes. So like I already said, we're surrounded by so many chemicals everywhere around us that it's very difficult for us to not be overwhelmed. But making conscious choices is something that's under our control and something that we can do when it comes to, making our hormones better. So the first thing that you have to do is please stop using any kind of plastic things around you. Replace them with a metal bottle, with a copper bottle. Use glass containers instead of plastic ones. Our makeup products and the shampoo we use, the conditioner we use, all of this also sometimes contains parabens and SLS, which does release phytoestrogens, which also hampers our hormones. So all you have to do is choose clean and natural makeup products, natural brands that do not contain parabens, so that it's not harming your hormones in any way, and you are even getting the goodness of the natural things. So that's something that you have to actively make sure that you do when it comes to lifestyle changes. And the next thing is vitamin D. Oh my God, I can't tell you enough. Vitamin D is that one thing that's available readily, but then we don't take it. So one of the primary sources of vitamin D is the sunlight. But the thing is, hum late utte hain, hum sunlight mein nahi baithte hain, and then we don't get the required vitamin D that our body needs. So it's very, very important that come se come 15 to 20 minutes every single day, you are making sure that you sit under the sun, because your skin, the cholesterol that's under your skin, it absorbs that sunlight and it converts it into vitamin D. Your body's that amazing. So all you have to do is that. But agar that's not possible, you live in a place where sunlight is not very readily available, then what you can do is choose to take supplements. But of course, before taking supplements, you need to get advice from your doctor. So that's a disclaimer I put out here. And the last thing that brings me to this is medications. I think this is a very controversial topic also to talk about. So there are 2 kinds of medications that you can always opt for. The first is the conventional one. So if we talk about thyroid, majority of the people who have hypothyroid might be taking Tylenol, right? And when it comes to PCOD, there are 2 primary conventional ways of treatment. So it's either the OC pills, that is the 21-day pills that you take, or then metformin to control your insulin resistance. Now, conventional medicines are great, but the one thing that I always recommend is that they should never be your primary option whenever you're trying to heal your body. So, whenever you know that everything you've tried hasn't worked, you've tried all kinds of natural ways, nothing's worked for you, your body is getting back to worse, that's when you take help from this, because your body is capable of healing in beautiful ways. Even if you just adapt the lifestyle changes, the diet and the nutrition that I just spoke about, even those changes when done into your lifestyle thoroughly will make so much of a difference. So I would say that whenever possible, please make sure that you are consulting a nutritionist, getting a nutrition in place. You are making sure that you are staying active daily, you are getting your vitamin D, you are not using any toxic products. And then, since I am a homeopath, I will talk about homeopathy here. In my experience, I have found that homeopathy works extremely beautifully when it comes to treating any form of hormonal imbalance, be it thyroid, be it PCOS, be it PCOD, especially when it is taken as a first resort of treatment. It can help you with majority of your period issues, when combined with the right practices. So you should always make extreme conscious choices when it comes to your health. And with this, I end my session. Thank you so much for everyone who's joined in. And I open the floor for any questions. I am just trying to unmute people, so just give me a second. Just give me 1 second. I am unable to figure out how to unmute people. Can somebody please help me with that? And I do see a lot of questions in the chat. I have left my contact details here. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask me personally, please feel free to do that. Okay, I do see a lot of questions here, which I will try and answer. Okay, so this says that some research says that we should avoid dairy products in PCOS and thyroid. If you ask me, I personally don't think that you should stop dairy when it comes to PCOS and thyroid, because milk and milk products also contain a lot of important nutrients that you wouldn't want to miss out on. So personally, even many times I've seen that when somebody is not trying to conceive, not able to conceive, we ask them to in fact include milk into their diet. But it has to be cow's milk, not buffalo milk, because of course it is very fat rich. You don't need to go for low fat ones, but there's no harm in having dairy products. I hope that answers your question, Zahabia. Okay. How can you reduce your weight and have regular menstruation? So again, that comes down to the same thing. Weight loss is all about creating a calorie deficit in your body. So it's about eating healthy and burning calories. So when it comes to weight loss, a few things that I personally recommend is firstly, being very mindful of what you eat. So if you can cut down processed food and only stick to home cooked meals, that will make a lot of difference. Be very mindful of the timings of your eating. So early morning, make sure that you start your day well with including certain nuts, including methi water into your diet, including fennel tea. And then dinner, when it comes to dinner, make sure that you finish it early. Keep your breakfast heavy and dinner light. Although these are extremely basic things, when it comes to weight loss, there has to be some form of personalization that's done depending on everybody's problems. So certain basic things that I can include, and of course, exercise. Will omega-3 help? Personally, I feel that there's no one thing that will help you in curing everything. It's usually an amalgamation of everything that's going to be helpful. So omega-3 is not exactly the best choice when it comes to hormonal imbalance. you have, especially when it comes to taking it in the form of a tablet. So like I said, if your food is providing you with something, please don't go for supplements, because your food cannot digest the supplement as well as it does. Your body does not absorb supplements as well as it does food. So please choose food over supplements any day. How much time interval thyroid test can be done? A minimum of 3 months. Any suggestion on endometriosis? So when it comes to endometriosis, of course, the lifestyle changes that I discussed need to be done. But endometriosis is something that does require medication that you cannot cure without medication. So homeopathy is one thing that will definitely help you. Okay. Is there any homeopathy medicine for thyroid? Yes, homeopathy does have medicines for thyroid and PCOD, but unlike allopathy, there is no one medicine that works for all. It's usually a personalization that's done in homeopathy after a detailed case taking. So I'm very sorry, I will not be able to tell you any one medicine that works. I see a few really personalized messages. I would really appreciate if you could either send them to me on Instagram or WhatsApp. So it'll be very convenient for me to answer them instead of doing that here. Irregular periods, well, that's what I discussed here. The entire session was about how making these changes. So the one thing that I've seen that we usually look for very quick cures. You know, we don't want to put in the efforts into things when it comes to making healthy changes. But when you really do, you will definitely see a lot of difference in everything. So make sure that you firstly make active choices in your lifestyle, very healthy choices, and then accordingly, you will be able to take care of your PCOS and thyroid. What is difference between allopathy and homeopathy? Oh, there's a lot of difference. So allopathic medications are basically chemicals and homeopathic medications are developed from plants. So this is a more natural way of healing your body, and allopathy is a chemical-based way. So yeah, that's the simplest way I can put it. Okay, I see a lot of personalized questions, but I would really appreciate if you guys could either leave that on my Instagram. So my Instagram handle is down here. You also have my other details. Is it true that PCOD can be reversed completely? Well, it basically varies from case to case. The early stages, yes, it can be reversed completely. When it's a very elaborated stage, when it's gone to the PCOS level, then we basically talk about how we can manage it effectively. Okay.
Hello, Zainab, I would like to ask one question.
Yes, babe.
I'm having this hypothyroid since more than 12 to 15 years.
Okay.
And my thyroid level, sometimes it increases, sometimes it decreases. Now, I think more than 3 to 4 years, I have not checked with my thyroid test also. So basically, in how much time should we get it checked? And I'm taking Eltroxin since the last so many years. I've just continued with it. So should I continue the same medicine, or should I have to consult a doctor and get it changed?
Oh, you are taking how much Eltroxin? What micrograms?
I'm taking 1 tablet a day, except on Sundays, Monday to Saturday.
Yeah, but dosage suche, it's 100, it's 50, it's 75, it's
100.
100. So ideally what we recommend in thyroid is that you should get your levels minimum for 3 months ma and a maximum 6 months ma, because your thyroid levels are affected by a lot of things. So fluctuations thaya kare che. It's never steady. So there are times when they need to make changes in your dosages. So I wouldn't suggest that you varsola ekkaj dawa lo without checking it. So at least every 6 months, you should get your TSH levels checked. Yeah. And then accordingly, seek help from your doctor if there is any changes in your dosages required.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Yes. Anybody else has any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then we can end the session, Krishtabin.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Ma'am, which seeds we have to take in PCOS to cure naturally?
So like I said, there are 4 seeds that we basically include. So from the first 14 day of your first 14 days of your cycle, that is the first day to the 14th day, it is flax seeds and pumpkin seeds. And then the remaining days of your cycle from the 15th until you get your cycle again, it's pumpkins, sesame seeds and sunflower seeds. So yeah, that's how it is.
How to take it? Will take roasted or
Yes, you have to dry roast them and grind them, and it is to be 1 tablespoon of each. You can have them anyways. You can either take them directly, you can mix them with your food, you can mix them with your smoothies. Any way works fine.
thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, what is the reason for having periods in 17 to 18 days or 20 days? Even it's been 13 years of having periods. Like I had my period in at 13 years and I'm 26, but it has been the same throughout these years.
So
I'm
have you
getting
got
periods.
any tests done to evaluate why is this happening? So like I discussed, hormonal imbalance is something that trigger it. So it can be a lot of issues. It can be just hormonal imbalance or it can be PCOD or PCOS. So it's very
Ma'am,
important for us to evaluate.
this problem my aunt also faced. My mother's sister, she also faced the same problem.
Yeah, so the one
So-
thing about all these is sometimes issues like thyroid and PCOD are passed down through generations. So when somebody in your family has that issue, there's always a slight chance that you might get it, but it will definitely require evaluation. So to begin with, you can just get a sonography done to know that what problem is it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, I just wanted to know, I was already having 75 mg Thyronorm from the last 2-3 years. But then too, when I got my thyroid levels checked just 3 months before, they were fluctuated very high, about 18 or something it had reached.
Okay.
And it keep on fluctuating. Is it okay? Does it affect our health in any way?
Of course, it does. No, like I explained, a thyroid has a very important role to play in our body. So when your hormones fluctuate, your organs are confused what to do. So what I really suggest is that when it comes to only relying on a medication, if you're only relying on your Thyronorm for treating thyroid, then it's not the best thing to do. You will definitely have to make certain lifestyle changes in your daily routine, like I discussed. And every 6 months, you need to get your thyroid checked and accordingly see your doctor if they can change your dosages. And if possible, if this is a recent thing, you can even resort to natural treatment like homeopathy, which can definitely help you for this.
No, I was just worried because when I was on my tablets, then too they fluctuated and they were.
Yes, that's quite common. That's quite common. The primary reason being our hormones are influenced by a lot of things. And this is just a small dosage that they are giving you externally. So even in spite of taking medicine, sometimes your levels can go up and down because our body is very sensitive. So it's not that a medicine is going to solve the issue completely. So
Okay.
it is very important for you to work even on your end about it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Those are really great. You like that one? Dude, these Orbeez are slick.
I see a question here by Zareen. Is it true that a person with thyroid and PCOD cannot? I'll just complete this before I take the next question, if you guys don't mind. So, no, that's not true. You can easily conceive even with PCOD and thyroid if you work on effectively managing it. So that's definitely a myth. Please don't worry about it. Yeah. So who wants to ask a question? Please introduce yourself before you ask your question. I would really appreciate it. Does somebody have a question?
Ben, can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
My question was, how do you know what is the root cause, as in what is triggering the problem? How do you find out that, and how do you actually treat that? Like,
see, like I said, there's usually not one problem that you will be able to point out. So it's not that, okay, I'm stressed, so I'm having this. or I have a lot of toxins around me, so I have this issue, I'm not eating right. Sometimes, it's some problems are carried out through generations, so your genes are responsible for it. And of course, everything plays a very minute role. So working on all the factors is something that you can do effectively. So making sure that you are doing something actively to manage your stress, you are making sure that you're eating right, you are exercising. So even these little things, they take care of all the aspects. So I wouldn't say that it's very important for you to pinpoint that one reason why it's happening, because you will never be able to do that. Just actively work on making yourself a healthier version of you. That's the best thing you can do.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I think in Rashtaben, we can end the session here. If somebody has any questions, they can always get back to me on my number or on Instagram.
Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Dr. Zainab Tajir, for the wonderful, informative, enlightening session. It was really, really useful, and a lot of doubts. My doubts have been solved. I hope that goes the same for all our audience also. On our WhatsApp group, I have shared contact details of Dr. Zainab Tajir and contact details of Giants of Mazgaon. If there's any way you want to join us or inquire with us about our activities, please do get back to us. And Dr. Zainab Tajir, thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to doing so many more seminars with you guys.
Thank you so
You all
much.
are doing a great job. I must say that it's a very good job, guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Very humbling. Bye-bye, everybody.